Welcome to Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I go live every night to interview trailblazing women who share their wisdom to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. The woman you're about to meet is doing exactly that. In fact, you may have seen her this morning or another day on television because Michelle Miller is co host of CBS This Morning Saturday. Her work often appears on the CBS Evening News, CBS This Morning, and CBS Sunday Morning. And tonight, Michelle is going to share her 3 top success secrets that can help you excel and ascend in your own career. I'm so proud to say that Michelle became my dear friend when we met 31 years ago in Los Angeles at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, and I've since cheered for her in awe and admiration as she ascended to the pinnacle of American journalism. Since she joined CBS News in 2004, she's earned many prestigious awards while covering stories of national and international importance, including social justice protests, school shootings, 4 presidential elections, 3 hurricanes, the death of Whitney Houston, medical care for the rural poor in South Africa, the hidden world of sex trafficking, and that won her a Gracie Award, the National Guard's Youth Challenge Academy, which won her an Emmy Award, and NABJ awarded her a Salute to Excellence, while the National Sports Foundation voted her Woman of the Year. This Howard University graduate has interviewed global leaders, politicians, artists, celebrities, including President Bill Clinton, former Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev, the first African woman to earn the Nobel Peace Prize, Oprah Winfrey, Beyonce, James Earl Jones, Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Carlos Santana, Tony Bennett, the artist Peter Max, and violinist Yo-Yo Ma, and so many more. Michelle is also a dynamic speaker who's devoted her time to many civic endeavors while teaching on the university level. She's married to National Urban League President Mark Morial, and she's the proud mother of 3 very dynamic young adults who are making a powerful and positive impact on the world. So it's with tremendous reverence and love that I introduce Michelle Miller. Welcome, Michelle.
Oh my gosh. You did so well with that.
Oh,
without like cracking up the whole way through, knowing that your friend is like a real person. You build people up like that and you're like, whoa, who's that?
but that's the beauty of it, Michelle, that I'm so amazed. You're so humble and you're so dynamic and accomplished. That's why you're here on Boss Up Goddess. So we can all learn from you.
No, you're the boss of goddess. So, and folks, okay, what you have to understand is the people that you have known the longest and you have watched on their path, those are the joys. Because when I look at this lady, I see, first of all, you have not changed a bit other than being finer and more fabulous than you were when we first met. And when I say that is because it's such a wonderful thing when people keep the joy of themselves, the humility and the sweetness of themselves, and yet let their brilliance shine through, and their boss, I like to call it their boss assness.
Yes, there you go. I love that.
I've seen you like graduate from one boss lady to another boss lady to another boss lady. And now you're like a real boss lady. You're like throwing it all out there. I can't believe it.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. And you know what? I've achieved some things and I've gotten through lots of challenges with strength and grace. And I want to serve as a model to other women, just as you do, that you can boss up no matter what's going on in your life.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to help each other boss up even more. Not that you need it, but I'm at a point in time where I literally, this conversation can help me boss up. That's what it's going to be, therapy for me. Okay. So this is where we're going, because I need to boss up. I need to kick it up to the next level,
Okay.
and I need to own it.
Yes, 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 yes.
And
What
so
does
I think
owning
this
it
is
mean?
good for your viewers to understand no matter what level you're at, you could always kick it up a notch.
Wow, Michelle,
You know what I
that's
mean? Because I don't feel like
absolutely.
I'm like really, but you know what I'm going to get from you, because there are things you've taught me along the way and things you've told me I needed to do. And sometimes we don't hear our friends. We don't hear our therapists. We don't hear our mentors. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
yes.
I'm like
Wow.
I'm ready to receive.
Oh, beautiful, Michelle. Oh my goodness. That's the reason I started this show, and it's based on my book, Boss Up Goddess, because I felt like I was playing small and not living up to my truest potential. And that's cheating myself, and that's cheating all the people I can help. So here we are. Let's
Here we
talk.
are. Let's talk.
So that's kind of a dilemma sometimes when people look at you and say, like, your bio is outstanding. And they're like, well, what do you mean she needs to boss up? She is a boss. But we know that we can do more. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly driven, or there's like this undercurrent of angst, like, I'm not doing enough.
Right.
So let's talk about how to get there. First, we have to be aware of that feeling. And then we have to talk about how to define what we want. Like, what is missing?
Well, first we have to understand like why we feel less than,
Mm.
right? And so like the baseline for me is that I think that all of us see ourselves as our third. We are still however we saw ourselves at 13. I don't know what, that's just my number, is the way you see yours. And you're always battling that 13-year-old viewpoint. So
Oh
at
my
13,
goodness.
13 was a critical age for me, because 13 was like when I made, it was like, that was the crossover, obviously, from, that's that year where you go from uh, that in between, the tween to the teen.
Yes.
It was
Uh-huh.
also the year that I transformed myself physically. I went to a fat farm,
What?
weight loss camp,
No.
that summer between 8th and ninth grade. And so like dealing with like, okay, I'm becoming fit and I want to become a healthier person and I want to be all I can be physically.
Mm-hmm.
And then realizing also too, sort of like what I dealt with was the first time when I realized racism and how crazy it was.
Yes.
Like the moment where the kid liked me and then found out I was Black, and I was like, well, you didn't know I was Black? And it was like, no, and like changed the way they treated me. And I was like, this is really messed up. Like I knew about this thing, but I was like, now this is illogical, truly illogical, right?
Yeah.
So like my awareness of things like totally flipped, like, aha. So like, 13 is like, that's that coming of age um that I think for me in my head, I think everyone deals with in trying to understand like what they're battling, right? What they're battling and what they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to overcome. And so that's what it's like, that voice is saying all of that to me. So I'm always constantly in that voice or in that mindset. I'm like, okay, down girl.
Right, right, right. So that happened to me too, Michelle, the same exact thing.
Really?
Multiple times. Multiple times. Yes. Yes. So what we need to do is go back to that moment and heal and release and forgive and step forward and say, I am a boss. Despite these things that have happened, look at me now. It doesn't matter what anybody tried to say to me to diminish my value. I know that I'm being the best that I can possibly be. And look at the work that you do. It's cultivating human harmony. You're married to a civil rights activist.
That it's like, I think, we marry those people we need to marry.
Mhm.
We partner with the people we need to partner. And you know, uh, he was truly a godsend, because he was someone who, it's in college, I'll never forget. I had 5 points. I said, I want somebody who is super smart, super committed and ambitious, who like is in love with me, loves me, like funny and conscious.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
so like, that's what I got. Like
Ooh, I love it.
exactly what I got. So like mission oriented, like I wanted to be more mission, like everything that he is, I wanted to be more like, and he's super self-confident and super independent. I was already independent and already knew what it was that I wanted. But yeah, so like he like gave me like, I want to say he gave me some legitimacy in my mind.
Oh, legitimacy for what?
Um, in deep now.
Your commitment to social
Well,
justice?
I think like it's deeper than that. Like, and we're like, this is like we're really getting therapy here. We're getting some therapy here. I think he gave me legitimacy in knowing that someone who was strong and confident and who knew who they were and where they went. They could, like, they saw in me as like, because me, I'm chaotic and I'm effervescent, and it's like what comes up comes out. Like all of that energy is sometimes unbound. Totally unbound. Is someone like that could see something like that and be like, oh yeah, there's value in that.
Oh, I love that so much.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And sort of uncensored. Like wild child, just kind of like.
Yeah. Yes. When we
and
met
so
at
like I
Universal
think I've
Studios,
always been like searching for like legitimacy in like being okay with this whirling dervish that I am, because when you met me, I was
Yes, that's what I loved about you so much. We were at Universal Studios and ABJ was having a reception there in LA. It was amazing. I'm like, who is this woman? I love her. We were having so much fun. And
back then there was no internet or anything, and we kept in touch.
Yes. Every time we were in different cities, New Orleans, New York, we would see each other, and it's been amazing. And that's the value of friendship and connection and cultivating a sisterhood. So I love what you're saying about Mark and your partnership and how that enables you to embolden yourself in your mission. So let's talk about those 3 things, Michelle. You were going to share your 3 success tips.
And what did I say they were?
One of them was, you're so funny. One of them is never give up.
Right.
Never, ever, never give up.
No, because I never give up, no matter. Nope. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, it's like, I've been, as so many of us have, let down and we've like fallen down, and we've there have been points in my career. I'll give you an example. So, and it also stems with that little verse that someone shared with me. So early on in my journalism career, I made a mistake. And it was a mistake I made with 2 other people. And I had to own it, because in essence, the buck stops with you as a journalist, even though you have partners in this. And it was without going into all the details, I knew that my time in this space was coming to an end. So I was already looking for another job. And so it's like that critical moment when I felt like awful. And I felt really guilty, and I felt like I failed. And in going into this job interview, I was just really honest with the new potential boss, and just like sort of like laid as much as I could on the line about my vulnerability. And he offered me the job. I literally wasn't available to accept it. And he didn't know that I had been fired the day before he was offering me the job.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
was in, and this is like talking about how crazy I am, because it was such a stressful period of time in my life. I had left with a friend of mine to go to Mexico. I literally was like, peace, deuces, I'm out of here.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so the job offer came through. I wasn't there to accept it. The guy was like, what's going on? You know, back when you had answering machines, I caught the message. I called him back. He said, when you get back to the States, give me a call, I'll let you know. So I called him afterwards and he said, you know, two things. He said, one, I really appreciate how honest you were with me without being detailed in what was going on with you.
Uh-huh.
Like, that took some gumption. He said, two, he said, I know you'll never make that mistake again. You've learned from it. You seem very contrite. And he's like, three, you're just like, I love your personality. I love your effervescence.
Oh.
And I love the fact that you were like, okay, I need to go to Mexico. And so one of my friends at the old station, I'll never forget this, as bad as I felt, he told me, he said, you know, Michelle, he said, a setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
I have never forgotten his name. His name was Douglas Broadwater, and he was in sales. And tell you how small the world is, his brother married my cousin. I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
realize it until we started talking. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, whoa, like, what, the universe like plopped this into my lap. It's like, he was an incredible gift.
Oh,
And he
wow.
and his wife were so good to me. But that is like a wonderful mantra that I talk about all the time.
Mhm.
I tell students that, and it's really, this is after being told, you need to probably think about another career by my
No.
boss. Yeah.
Oh,
And so
no.
here, wait, I got to come full circle for you. So
Okay.
the year, so it must have been like, not this past summer, but the summer before that. We were in Florida for NABJ.
Mhm.
I'm walking through the hallway and I'm stopped. Guess who I'm stopped by?
The man who said that to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he said, Michelle, I just have to tell you. He said, I know how badly it ended. He said, but I just want to tell you how proud I am. He said, and I said to him, and he had no idea how I was going to take it. I hugged him and I said, thank you.
Oh,
I was like, this is such a full circle moment for me, because
wow.
I talk to people about you and I don't disparage you, because I know what I'm, but that's how you felt.
Uh-huh.
That's how you felt. And
Right.
you really, and I'm okay with that,
Mhm.
because I survived it. I survived
Yes.
it because for whatever reason, I didn't feel that way.
Mhm.
Um, but I so appreciate that teaching moment, and I so appreciate this full circle moment that
Mhm.
you would come up to me and give me this gift. And it's like
Wow.
I could tell in his eyes, one, he didn't expect it, and two, how much he appreciated it,
Mhm.
because I had lived up to the promise he saw in me initially, which is why he hired
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
And he really does. He likes my storytelling,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That
Yes.
he
Yes.
likes my story, that he like. So it was just, so never give up. A setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback. And what was
Mhm.
number three?
Ask for help.
Oh,
That's so important, especially when you're
oh
very
my
confident
gosh.
and, you know.
If you need help, ask for it,
Yes.
right?
On any level, personally or professionally.
Right. And we're so hesitant to do that, right?
Yeah, because we want to look like we've got everything together. So I think we have to ask for help from someone we trust.
Right.
Because if we're asking for help, it means we have a problem and we want to know that the person who's going to help us trusts us or is trustworthy with our issue.
Right.
So that's huge trust. And the higher you ascend in your ranks in whatever profession you're in, that's not always the easiest thing to do, trust people, because there's so many dynamics that can occur, or in personal relationships as well. So
Right.
when you say ask for help, do you have any guidelines around that?
Yeah, because it's hard for me to ask for help. It's hard.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't, I would add to that, open your ear, because
Ooh.
sometimes they give you the answer.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you don't hear them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you don't hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about things that people have told me in hindsight, and they've given me the answer, and I'm like, wait, why didn't I hear that then?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yes.
And I'm trying to think of an example. But it's like there are varying degrees of like true listening and
Mm-hmm.
hearing what
Mm-hmm.
someone's trying to tell you. So
Mm-hmm.
like I think about like here's like another full circle moment. We all have these, and recognizing the one for. So the guy that hired me in New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
that from basically that I had been honest with, and after I got fired on, guess what? He was
What?
the guy that hired me when I got to CBS.
What?
His name's Joe Duke. He's like, I call Joe Duke my like, he's like what I call like the journalism whisperer.
Oh,
He was the guy that like hired this guy named Lynn Cannon, who went on to Dateline. He's now a big Houston anchor. He was the guy that hired Hoda Kotb, who is, Hoda is
mm-hmm.
like the
Right.
queen of
Yeah.
NBC. And he hired me.
Wow.
And all of us came through New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about what he used to tell me. He had a way of talking to people to kind of give them advice on what their weakness was,
Mm-hmm.
and then like also give them like this sort of sense of an answer. Like,
Oh.
so friends, he would say, I'll never forget the first thing. He says, you know what? You're a much better reporter than I thought you were gonna be.
Oh.
Meaning, you know what? I thought you were really good anchor, but you're a much better reporter than you are an anchor. And I just was like, because he didn't want to let me, you know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I'll never forget when he saw he was on his way out of the network. He called me to his office. He said, you know what, Michelle? He said, you're going to have to stand alone now. And I said, what do you mean? He says, I can't help you anymore. And I'm thinking, oh, you've been helping me. Like, you've been my guy. Like, he was like, you need to find another rabbi. Basically, that's what he was telling me, because I've been your rabbi. And
Wow.
now you need to find, and without saying like, I'm on my way out or blah, blah, blah. He was like, you need to find your new rabbi. And
Mm.
off I went. And it was so funny is that like every rabbi I've had since then has been someone who wasn't necessary. When I say rabbi, maybe that's the wrong word. There have been people who really helped me who didn't want to help me. And turning the people who were against me around has been my secret.
Wow. How do you do that?
So the first, so it's really unique. You're always, hold on. Sorry, I'm watching 60 Minutes
Of
here.
course you are.
I paused there. But so I would have to say that you identify that the person is gunning for you.
Yeah.
Right. And whether it's like, sometimes it's not just one person. Sometimes it's kind of like groupthink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you essentially have to cut to the root of what it is that they think your weakness is.
Mm.
And then that takes a lot of like, you're like, okay, my weakness is, nobody wants to think they have them, but like, I'm really good at this. You're weak at this, and this. What are you really good at? I'm good at this, and this, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it was funny. I'll never forget that. I'll tell this one story. So I was like, I'm really proactive because I come from, like, my husband's a manager. I have friends that are managers, and they always, always get an assessment from the people you work with, people you work for, people. So I remember going around getting an assessment, like maybe 6 weeks before I had this meeting. I happened to get a call from someone, and they said, because the irony is, I was trying to sub for the position that I'm now the anchor for. This was about 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
No, like 12 years ago, just substitute anchor. And I was told, before you become an anchor, you have to be a really good reporter. And I was like, okay, well, no, the two are not mutually exclusive. But by the way, who says I'm not a good reporter? And without getting into the nitty gritty of it, it was clear to me that what people were saying about me, and to me, was different from what people were saying to this person. And I hadn't gotten to the bottom of that yet, but really important that my choice of words to that person in the moment. I said, you know what? I said, I did an assessment about 6 weeks ago. That's not what they told me. It's clear to me that that people are lying to not me, not you, but us.
Ooh.
Us. That, I don't know where that came from, but she was in my, so like, I did this. We're in this together.
Ooh.
Right? We're in this together. And so in doing that, immediately the person said, what can I do? What can I do? I said, you don't worry about it. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And as soon as I do, I'm going to report back to you. So that's what I did. Because of the scenario, she put me in the space with another person who was another high-powered person. And I came in there, I said, listen, folks, it does you no service, it does me no service for people not to be putting us on the same page.
Wow.
So it's really important for us to be on the same page. I walked in with emails like this thick, and I said, see, like, they're telling me this, they're telling you that.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, so I'm cool with what they're telling you as being the real thing, but I got, another year on my contract. It would behoove us to come to terms with me being the best I can be. And I work as hard as I can to be the best I can be. Yes, and so I have to say that just always being kind of like with that foot forward of like, I may not be what you want, but don't pretend like I can't get there.
Yes.
I'm gonna get there by hook or crook. And so with each one, and it's like you like that's what people want to feel like. You're like telling them, all I need is your help. Mm-hmm. We all need help. Right. I'm here asking for your help.
Right.
Help me. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get there. Yes. I want to get to the mountaintop. And guess what? When I get to the mountaintop, you're a part of the victory parade.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be with the winner. And so with every one of those scenarios, and then the second thing I will say is, it's really important to be clear, like, because people put things about you in the ether because they have a misunderstanding. Perhaps there's a misunderstanding that they have about you. And because you ever play telephone?
Yes.
You know that game where you like, it goes down the line. And so like, people, it can start true, but by the time it gets to the end of it, it's not true. And
No.
I'll never forget being in a meeting where basically there was a total miscommunication about something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, for some reason, I remembered every detail about this particular piece of info. I said, oh, you mean the time that I did XYZ and FYB? And oh yeah, and this, that, and the other. And oh yeah, on this, on top of that, and blah, 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 blah. And they were like, yeah, well, I remember doing that exactly. Why would I have done XYZ, MOFD, FY, and B if you hadn't said X? They were like, whoa. But so clearing the air on,
Yes.
on like something that is totally false about you. You don't even know it's in the ether.
Mm-hmm.
But it was because I called a meeting
Uh-huh.
with all my people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I essentially said, I need to know what's going on here. And then them clear and being and it's like someone you think who's like coming at you, I would again turn them around. I said, thank you for being so honest and forthright. You may have been coming at me because you were like, you thought I was in the wrong, but aren't you glad we cleared that up?
Yes, yes.
Don't you see now? That was somebody upset, and that was like a problem. Whatever, I'm not in that, right? Am I being clear enough here? I know I'm being vague.
The common theme in all of this.
I'm being vague to protect the innocent. And to protect myself as well. But it's really important people get that, because there are false narratives out there about people. And it's not like anybody's trying. Sometimes people aren't trying to be that way with you, but they hear things wrong. And there are other people, you could be with the collateral damage in somebody else's fight.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
Somebody else's argument, and you just get thrown under the bus. And the only person there to set it right is one, you got to be aware of it, right? So you're aware. I was made aware of it. I clarified it. And then all of a sudden, the person is like, whoa, I didn't realize that. I'm really glad. And like everyone now sees it. And so like that happens for a lot of people, especially people in larger corporations where there's like, shifts and changes, or even small ones. It's like just being true to who you are and open and honest, and always being being ready to tackle the hard business of folks knowing who you are.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect, because we're not always bubbly and sugar coated. We have to get down to business, like you were saying. Speak up for yourself. So
important that you say that, because I'm happy at work. My husband always says, you show those people how happy you are all the time. You come home cranky. He said, you give those folks over there all your goodness. You come home cranky. I was like, long day at work, honey. But no, seriously, yeah, no, it's important for them to see, fund me. And it's also important for them to see, oh, you know what? You aren't going to roll over. I'm not rolling over, because that's not me.
Right.
But I'm good. I'm a good person.
Yes, you are.
And I help people. And that's the other thing. I have another piece of advice.
Oh, okay.
Be good to people.
Yes.
And show them how much I got the nicest. I'm going to share. This person's going to be really, I have to share this, because this made my day. I gave a little something to someone the other day who is like one of those people who's really very talented in my shop, who, could be easily overlooked, doesn't have a huge title. And I gave them a nice little note with a little thank you gift, because they've helped me. They've helped countless. I know how much they've helped other people just with their time and their expertise. And so this person wrote me this note today. I got it today.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just want you to know, I was so touched by your gift and note. I was actually telling a friend about it. And I said pretty much the following: you work hard and think maybe you're making good contributions and wonder if anyone's noticing. The thing is, me, Michelle notices. Right? I was like, I noticed. I love
Oh,
this.
that's beautiful, Michelle.
And I always notice, but this is the important thing. And she's always let me know that she notices. And she's even led other people to notice. I mean, how could you not appreciate someone like that?
That is
So
so beautiful.
Someone who notices, and then because you notice,
Mhm.
other people don't take you for granted.
Mm.
That's powerful, right?
Yes, it is. Very, very, very.
It is so powerful.
Mhm.
And it's like, I was like, dang straight. So like people think I'm sappy, and I'm like, because I'm very expressive and I really appreciate people. And it's because I want people to understand that I get it.
Mhm.
But more importantly, I want other people to know they should be appreciative too.
Yes.
And so that's what that told me. It's just like you lead by example and other people follow, because in essence, it takes them a minute, but they're like, oh yeah, they do that for me too. They're that person for me too. I need to show how much I appreciate them.
I love that. I love that.
I just had to share that. Yeah, pat myself on the back. but there was such a beautiful gift in that, like that other people, you've led other people to notice.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Isn't that wonderful?
I love that.
I feel really proud of that. That made me feel so good. It really did.
I love it. That's so awesome, because people think TV news, oh, it's cutthroat and everybody's, stressed. And no, there's kindness, there's compassion, there's empathy, and you're uplifting other people.
I've been very blessed, and I'm sure maybe I don't see the cutthroatedness, and maybe I do, but I've never had like not what we have heard.
Right. That's beautiful. And what an amazing accomplishment to do all the things that you do. It's mind-blowing. You've gotten to travel the world and interview some of the most famous people ever.
But you know what? Here's the secret. Like, if you do this long enough, I mean, every one of my colleagues has done it, and even more so. Like, I think of some of my colleagues, like my colleague Vladimir Dutier, and he's been in it, like his half-life of law is like, he's been in it, what, 10, 12 years? Vlad was in investment banking or something, in finance somewhere, and lived all over the world, and then decided, oh, you know what? I really want to be a journalist. And then went to your alma mater, went to Columbia, and got his degree, started at CNN, worked with Anderson Cooper. Anderson loved him, took him in 2010 to the earthquake ravaged region. Oh yeah, Vlad just so happens to be half Haitian, speaks patois, and that's launched his career. The next thing you know, he's over in Africa. He's like one of their global. Anyway, I only say that because I look at his Instagram fan of his, and like he's done amazing things, and all of us have. There's not a single person who hasn't interviewed like Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, or been in some fabulous place. Like, the pictures say it all. The opportunities is such a wonderful, it's a wonderful profession to be a part of today's headlines are tomorrow's history lines.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. Today's headline.
You're a part of the history. I mean, there's somebody who said it much more eloquently than I, something like, today's news is I can't remember what they said, but you
said it beautifully. Today's news is tomorrow's history.
Yeah.
I love
Are we up for what? Did I take up 30 minutes that quickly?
Oh yes, but please finish what you were saying about how you've interviewed and gone so many different places. Does it always seem new and exciting, or does it just get routine?
You know what? I have found that that the people who most excite me and I have the most fun with are people you've never heard of.
Oh, really?
And that, there's a rare exception. You interview people everyone knows, like the
Uh-huh.
famous people, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And that because they're famous and because they're guarded and because it's part of what they do all the time, it's hard it's hard penetrating the bubble, the
Mm.
veneer, so like the person is, guarded.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you talk to people, in everyday life about some moment in their life that makes them, not worthy, but that you're there to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's unvarnished. It's like
Oh,
it's like you really connect with them.
right,
And
right.
I love the connection with people. So
Oh,
so rare the occasion when I connect with someone famous.
uh-huh.
When I connect with someone famous,
Mm-hmm.
it's particularly fun,
Uh-huh.
because they're famous, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's rare. It's really rare. I mean, I'm thinking about like, and I always connect with people after they've been super famous, like Paul McCartney. I was just thinking like, well, 50 years ago, if I there's Paul McCartney, man, like touch me. I touch Paul McCartney, right? Or just I think like I can't even think of like the people like, but there have been lots of folks like that, or LL Cool J, who like was
Ooh,
delightful,
I
just
love him.
like so sweet, and his
Oh,
beautiful wife. And
oh.
it's just it's like when people are like when they're open, it's a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And generally I just interviewed an astronomer and an astrophysicist who thinks there's alien life and we've had a close encounter, and most
Oh.
people are like doo, 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 doo. And
Oh.
we had so much fun together, just like he's explaining astrophysics to me and I'm asking
Mm.
him, yeah, well, UFOs, all green men, because I'm the layperson. But
Uh-huh.
uh I love people, and
Mm-hmm.
as long as I can tell people's stories, I think I'm so blessed to be able to
Mm.
connect with people in a
Yes.
way that
Yes.
just,
Mhm.
it
Michelle,
is a gift.
it's such a gift, and you are so very, very blessed. And we're all blessed to be able to watch you and to see your amazing stories. I loved your story about Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte.
Oh
Oh, that was
my
the
God. You know how long I've been trying to tell that story?
no. What?
So you remember when how much time you got?
Go ahead. We have as
Okay.
much time as you want.
So I'll never forget. So I was in South Carolina, that whole story I told you about the firing, and
Uh-huh.
then it got me to New
Uh-huh.
Orleans. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
my Uncle Everett, so my Aunt Carol and my Uncle Everett, who were my dad's medical school classmate. When I moved to South Carolina, my dad said, "You're going to stay with my friends because you don't know anybody there, and I'm making sure you're taken care of." So I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Daddy," but I went. I trusted Daddy. He put me in good hands, and they were the best. The Dargans, Everett and Carol Dargan were the best. And Uncle Everett was like this Renaissance man, and he had this amazing, because he had books everywhere. But he had this calendar, and the calendar was, 12 of the most famous uh, Africans that you never knew of
Mm.
or never heard of. And
Uh-huh.
one of them was Queen Charlotte.
Wow.
And I was like, huh? You mean George the Third's wife? That Queen Charlotte? That was like 30 years ago, 25 years ago or so,
Mhm.
around this, right shortly after I met you. So then in 1998, I went to London and we were guests of the British government. And I remember telling the woman who was taking us around Parliament, I was like, Queen Charlotte was Black. And she was looking at me like, right, what is wrong with this woman? Like, what is she talking about? And so then when Harry and Meghan were getting married, I was like, okay, now I need to figure out if this is true. Like super, like, let me do my deep dig, right? Because, you know, it's not just enough that Uncle Everett's calendar said this, right? It's not just enough that, you know, when I looked her up and I saw the picture of her and I was like, yeah, she has like African features. I had to do a little digging. So I did some digging, and without like going into the skinny of it, it just wasn't right at that particular point in time, even though Lifetime, when they did their little lovey-dovey special with Harry and Meghan, you know, they pulled out this is of course fiction, but it was a Lifetime romance story. And Queen Elizabeth in the fictionalized version basically said, yes, Harry, that is Queen Charlotte, your ancestor. Yes, she's of mixed race.
Wow.
As am I, as are you. And I was like, oh, Queen Elizabeth. The fictionalized version of Queen Elizabeth is saying, I'm of mixed race, right? So I was like, wow. So fast forward to Bridgerton. I was on Christmas vacation with family, and we were all in the house together, and it was like we were watching it, and you know, it's kind of a he. It's like it's a little provocative, but the first scene in the movie or the TV series was this woman of color playing Queen Charlotte, and my mouth dropped. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I got to tell the story. So finally, Bridgerton, then when it became the most watched TV series in Netflix history, I was like, I have my peg.
Yes.
It was a month later, but I have my peg. And there was more revelation. It was like, it enabled me to dig even further in a way that I didn't have like information on like 3 years ago. And it was just, I love telling stories about history, little known pieces of our history, because so much of our history is either forgotten or not exploited or not really sort of it's not told in a way that showcases its value. And I just thought it was really important to tell that story, and so many others. There's so many others, and I will end with this. The messenger matters, and that has been another lesson I've learned through my storytelling. And sometimes people, no matter who you tell these, you want to tell a story, but you have to ask yourself, who is it that you feel should hear your story? And back to remember I was talking about listening and hearing?
Yes.
And some people don't hear from some people. So you have to always make sure that the messenger in the story that is delivering the story is someone people can hear and listen to.
Well,
that's tough.
But the stories I've seen you do, and especially the Bridgerton piece, was handled with such grace. It was beautiful. It was
thank you.
You interviewed those scholars to give the substantive, documentation. It was wonderful. I was cheering you on because I loved Bridgerton so much. And when I saw the Black Queen, I'm like, what? This is
Wait, did you see the piece I did on the Wilmington Lie?
No.
The Wilmington Lie. So it's just another one of those stories that showcases really a part of our history that many people like for us to either forget or not realize in the reign of terror that existed across the country post-Reconstruction. And when I talk about the messenger mattering, it was a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist who wrote a book called The Wilmington Lie, based on what happened in Wilmington, North Carolina, at a time in history when, after whites and Blacks collectively got together to root out corruption in their politics, what happened, what the upshot of it was, what the backlash was. And this Pulitzer Prize winning author, who's a native of North Carolina, who had won for his coverage of South Africa, was a white journalist who told this story. And so I guess what I'm saying is it was a white journalist who like his voice was heard, I think, I'm assuming, by people who perhaps may not have heard another voice telling the story. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always try to sprinkle my stories with a mixture of people, but it was wonderful that it was this man who was so heartfelt in making sure that this lesson of history was told in the way that it was told, with fervency and with reverence and with absolute like gut-wrenching detail.
Wow, I'll have to check that out. I
You
love how a
must.
lot of your stories are on YouTube, so CBS puts the
And on
stories
my IG page, Michelle Miller 29.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'll have to check that out too. Wow, Michelle.
My husband's calling.
Oh, he
I think
is?
somebody's at the door.
Oh, do you have to go?
So I will stay. You want
Oh,
to come up and
I'd love to come to New Jersey, but I'm in Michigan, so um,
hold on one second.
sure.
Yes, Mark? Okay, I'm on live right now.
Did you order this food?
No, I didn't. Oh, I'm coming. Oops, I ordered food
Oh, okay,
and I gotta
Michelle.
go get it.
Oh, okay. You want to wrap up then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you so very, 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 very much, Michelle, for joining me on Boss Up Goddess. You are absolutely a boss and a goddess and a delight to speak with. Thank you for sharing your wisdom tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, the food got here and I totally forgot that I ordered it about 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
It's part of
Michelle.
my daughter's
Oh,
Black History Month.
uh-huh.
And it's February 28th, the last day of Black History Month.
Yes, it is. It is. Thank you so much, Michelle, for
Thank you
joining
so
me.
much, Elizabeth.
You're
Hopefully
welcome.
this was as good for you as it was for me.
It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you so much.
Thank
And
you, Liz. Much best of luck with this, okay?
okay, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Be well. Hello to everybody. Mwah!
Do I sign off now?
If you have to go, that's fine. Yes, if you want. Or I usually just say good night, but
Good night.
okay. Thank you, Michelle. You're amazing. And thank you, all of you, for joining us tonight on Boss Up Goddess. You got to hear Michelle Miller share her wisdom to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. Meanwhile, remember, Boss Up Goddess, you have the power.